Hello everyone, and welcome back to Bourbon Bites, whiskey reviews with a gaming twist. I'm your host Clifton, and welcome to another Thursday night live stream. So tonight's actually a part 2 of last week's stream, where we tasted through a flight of 5 different Scotch Malt Whisky Society pours. Last week we did a few from their core lineup of different flavor profiles, but tonight is all about special editions. Now, 4 of the 5 are USA exclusive releases. One of them is a peated one that I just wanted to save until we were getting into some more complex flavors. But if you saw the thumbnail, we're going to be tasting through a variety of scotches tonight from all over Scotland, from Islay to the Highlands. I actually don't even know exactly where all these are from, but I have my handy dandy SMWS code cheat sheet to find out where everything is from. And I'm super excited to get into these. Like I said, if you missed last week, some of them blew me away. I think like 3 or 4 of the 5 were like some of the best scotch I've ever had. So I'm very, very excited to get into these limited edition USA exclusive pours. Again, huge shout out to Bourbon Gigabyte, Don Nishita. Bourbon Gigabyte is my tier on bourbonbites.com, my Byte Club membership. Don Nishita sent me these samples, and he also gifted me a membership to the SMWS. So I'm especially grateful for him tonight for the opportunity to try these pours. Haven't bought any bottles yet, but I think this last week's flight and this week's flight give me a good idea of the quality I can expect from those bottles. So really, really excited to get into these. I wanted to say hello to a few folks who are here in the chat. By the way, I noticed that there's a new reaction button to the live chat with if you look at the little heart icon, you can send reactions throughout the stream. I don't see them on this Streamlabs thing that I use, but I pulled up the chat just in case any of them come in, just so I can keep an eye on if you guys are loving or hating the content that comes through today. But hopefully you're enjoying it. Hopefully you also enjoyed today's episode of the podcast. For the month of October, I am doing what I'm calling Bourbon Booze. Booze as in like ghosts, where I'm trying whiskey bottles that have scared me for a very long time. Now, these could be anything from a flavored whiskey like I did this week to some really cool or like gimmicky bottle designs that I think are probably going to be really bad, but I got to give them a try. So I'm really excited to continue that series through the entire month of October. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. Just search the Bourbon Bites podcast. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you want to find it, you can find it. So follow me there. New podcast episodes every Thursday morning and live streams every Thursday evening. So Thursdays are my day on the internet, and hopefully you're here for it too. I'll say hello to a few folks here in the chat. I was chatting a little earlier with Tony and Matthew. Good to see you guys here in the chat. Doug from Taste and Sensibilities here as well. Don Nishita, the man of the hour himself, says, I hope you like these. I have a good feeling based on last week's odds that I will like these a lot. Who else is here? We got Zoe for Alfonso. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. Tony says, you have a podcast? What's it called? Well, same way you see it spelled here. You just add the word podcast to the end and you can find it. But no, if you are not a podcast person, I wasn't either. That's why I make sure to keep these around 30 minutes or less, usually closer to 20 minutes, where I'm highlighting the latest breaking bourbon and whiskey news, as well as some video game news. And I throw in a bite-sized review at the end. Usually of some serious whiskeys. This week is for a flavored whiskey that I'm a little embarrassed to have tried, but check it out. But tonight is all about good whiskey. I have a feeling. So let me know what you guys are sipping on. Do you guys have something in your glass? If you're watching the replay, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. If you have a favorite of tonight's show, leave a comment down below and let me know what it is. Or if there's any bottles that are currently available that you think I should pick up now that I have a membership, let me know that as well, because I'm excited to kind of start exploring what's available out there. So I know a lot of you have been traveling, especially Tony, for the meetup in Texas, around Austin area. So glad to have you back. Hope that was a lot of fun. But I am deviating from American whiskey today. We are going even though they are USA exclusives, they're all Scotch, obviously, with the title Scotch Malt Whisky Society. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pour myself. I actually did a bottle kill right before this stream. Didn't realize how low I was on my Deanston 18, which I've been holding this bottle for a while, honestly. I've replaced the cork because the cork broke in it. But yeah, I've had this one forever. It's the regular Deanston 18. I think they may have changed the label since then. But yeah, this says limited release batch number 2. Yeah, I hate to have killed it. There's a little bit of piece of the cork still in here from the cork breaking, but Still tastes fantastic. One of my favorite. I think it was honestly Deanston 20 was one of the scotches that got me into scotch. A little bit more out of my price range, but Deanston 18 has been just as lovely. So sad to have killed this, but I have more Deanston. You can probably see right there. I have some Deanston casks, like the cask selects that do some wine barrel finishing on those. I'm a big fan of those. So don't worry. Even though this is a pretty big pour, I'm only sipping on this throughout the night and through the after party. Which, by the way, we do the after party hangout after every Thursday night live stream for the Byte Club. Byte Club is my membership program here. It's also basically the name of my Patreon members. You can go to bourbonbytes.com to sign up there, and more of the proceeds go to me, the creator. But you can also join on Patreon for as little as $2 a month. So if you're interested in joining our after party hangout, the $10 tier gets you access to that, and we get to hang out, drink some bourbon, talk a little whiskey, talk a little bull crap. I don't want to swear. It's too early in the stream to start swearing. I don't want YouTube to demonetize me. So with that, let's have a sip of this Deanston and let's move into these whiskeys. I'll give a quick overview of the SMWS as well. So like I said last week, Scotch Malt Whisky Society, or SMWS, especially the American branch, is a private whiskey club here in the US. Well, it's not based in the US, but they have a US branch of it. That do various single casks bottlings throughout the year. And a lot of times they're not allowed to necessarily disclose what's in the whiskey on the label, but there's a cheat sheet. They use a code number for all the casks. You can find it online if you really want to know what you're drinking. But they sell some really well-aged and really nuanced, a lot of times cask strength releases of different scotches. Some of them are unique finishes that don't normally happen at that distillery. And they give you a really cool, detailed breakdown of tasting notes, nosing notes, and all those things. Some of these were picked by the committee of members. I think one of them in particular was a small batch selected or blended by the committee, which is really exciting. I'll get into the details of each of them as we go through them. But yeah, so these are all tonight, except with the exception of one, USA exclusive. So they were released only here in the US. So I'm excited to get into them. I see a few people joined. Prescription Bourbon's in the house. Good to see you. Adam Free, howdy. I'm here and listening, but still in the process of moving. No worries. I feel you. Let's see. Matthew Park says, I still have not found a Deanston 12 or 18 to buy my 7 years of whiskey fandom, believe it or not. Matthew, you're international, right? I feel like I remember that about you. Because I feel like Deanston 18 is like pretty common. Yeah, it's oh, well, maybe, yeah. It is harder actually. It's not as available as I thought. It's the single malt. It's the single cask bottlings that I've seen here locally. Maybe it is harder to find than I thought. Crazy. Then how did I get my bottle? I don't know. Don't remember how I got it. But you're right. It looks like Deanston 18 might actually be harder to find than I thought. I see this. Benny's has it, but that's not anywhere local to me. I don't remember how I got my bottle, but it's dead now, so I have to seek out a replacement. Let's see. Matthew says I need to think about that old bottle of Aaron 10 again. Prescription Bourbon is sipping some Glendronach 12. Nice. And Matthew was starting out with some Loch Lomond 12. Zover killed his Loch Lomond 18 a few weeks ago. M says, Deanston, I am summoned. Yes, I actually thought about mentioning your name, but I hadn't seen you in the chat, so I wasn't going to call you out. But good to see you, M. By the way, is my chat like super delayed? Like I just saw Emily's message pop up. I think there's some settings that I can adjust. I'm streaming through Streamlabs, like I said, and I think I can turn the quality down a little bit, but increase the latency because I don't want to be so far behind in the chat. Tony said if only you knew someone near a Benny's. Yeah, right? No, I don't necessarily need it shipped. I need to do some research first. I didn't realize it was hard to find. I'll be totally honest. I thought it was more available. Zofraz Deanston 10. Perhaps that's what I'll start with tonight. Nice. Well, cheers to those of you drinking Deanston. Cheers to those drinking Glendronach, Loch Lomond, Aaron 10, whatever you guys are drinking. I'm excited to get into this flight. Patrick says, hello from Oceanside. Also, random new subscriber courtesy of a logged in account at our B&B. I love that you just subscribe them to my content. They're going to watch this video and be like, aha, I know who it was. I won't call you out by name, Bourbon Noob. I think I already said your name, though. Oops. Well, welcome. Good to see you here in the chat. Welcome to the West Coast. Yes, good to have you out here. I wish I could make it down to see you. It's just a bit too far. I mean, I don't necessarily have plans for this weekend, but you probably are very busy. So, but if not, let's chat. I know Brandon and Francesca are planning to meet up with you as well. Don says Scotch Malt Whisky Society hosts periodic tastings in cities including LA. Very cool. Well, I'm gonna have to start keeping an eye out for those. Again, thank you, Don. I've heard of it for a long time. I didn't really know much about it. I thought it was one of those clubs where you had to buy bottles like several times a year to stay in it. So that's why I never really looked into it. I'm glad to hear that it's not. So let's go get the first one poured, shall we? So since I said we're going to do a lot of U.S. exclusives, I'm going to start with one with the most American label I think I've seen on a non-American whiskey. Let me see if I can pull these up. Actually, I didn't even think about the fact that I can pull in a graphic. That's a really old graphic. Let me replace that. But I wonder if I can pull this up. It may or may not show up. Let's see what happens. Oh, we got something here, guys. Wow, I should have planned this ahead. I would look a lot more professional, right? Well, now I want to like pull them all in and get them all queued up. Okay, y'all gonna have to deal with me resizing these things in real time here. All right, there we go. There we go. Look at that. That was so professional. I wish I would have thought to do that before, so we would have them all ready to go. So this, I like how it's like sitting on my beanbag chair down there. All right, anyways, so this one is the Rockets Red Glare. This is cask number 58.45. It is a 10-year-old Speyside region cask, region Scotch. The cask is first fill Oloroso Hogshead. Now again, we're gonna look at our cheat sheet here. 58.45. Let's see where this tracks from. This looks like it is from Strathisla? Strathisla? Strathisla. Not familiar with that one, but that's probably in some blend somewhere. A lot of these distilleries release their whiskey as actually more commonly used in a blend of different distillate versus their own independent casks. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. Gratuitous use of the graphics. Doug said he bought his Decent 18 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana about 5 years for $150. I'm sure no one gets to that price anymore. Yeah, I don't remember what I paid for it. I just know I fell in love with the Decent 20. I was like, I got to go get something, and the Decent 20 was way outside of my price range. So, cut me some slack to the live stream. Thank you, but I could have been a little more prepared. Listen, I don't like to just wing it on my live streams. I usually like to be a little more prepared. So, my bad. Matthew says that's an excellent distillery. Patrick says, Mysterious Oceanside resident says, picked up a super tasty Dark Arts rye last night. Ooh, that does sound good. Finished in maple syrup barrels and toasted amberana staves. That sounds really nice, Patrick. Yeah, but let's go and get this poured. So, Strathisla. I don't know. I don't know if it's Isla. It's probably Isla, right? Because, like, Isla Scotch. I don't know. It's not an Isla Scotch. It's a Speyside. It's got some nice color on it, though. Do I have any cool animated graphics available on the Stream Tool deck? I don't. I'm sure I could program some, but unfortunately at the moment I don't. So maybe I'll start experimenting with that and get some more cool effects like transitions. Right now I just have like the different like pages, like the countdown and stuff. But when I have some time, when I have some free time, I'll start playing with it a little bit more. I just recently switched back to this from StreamYard. StreamYard is what I use when I have a guest on. It's what a lot of channels do, but I noticed the quality was not nearly as good. Like right now I'm streaming, I think, in 1440p, which is like, even though StreamYard says it's 1080p, like full HD, it's very compressed. So to me, I think this looks quite a bit better. But you tell me, you guys are the viewer. Strathisla. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, like I said, color on this is really nice. Let me pull up the fact sheet again. What do we have here about this? The Rockets Red Glare. So this is a USA exclusive cast celebrating Independence Day. This was released back in 2022. Price on it was $125, so not bad. 10-year-old. First fill Oloroso. That's exciting. I love a good sherry cask. Yeah, really nice color on it. Let's go in for a nose. I gotta remember there's a graphic on my screen, so I'm like, don't want to hide my face. Oh, that's nice. What is the ABV? That smells pretty hot. What info do we have here? There we go. 57.5% ABV. So what is that? 115 proof. I was gonna say, like, that's not just like a beginner. It's the beginner of tonight, but it's not a beginner pour by any occasion. This was distilled back in October of 2010. So wow, that was 15 years ago. And it was an allocation of 264 bottles. Beautiful nose though. I mean, it kind of is. It's putting me in like the holiday territory with It's like it's spices like potpourri kind of. It's hard to name specific, but there's getting a bit of like a bit of a cranberry, weirdly specific, like a cranberry note. A little bit of like definitely cinnamon cranberry, maybe a little bit of like a floral note there. It's a but it's not a bright floral note. It's almost like a darker floral. Maybe some dark fruits as well, almost like a. I'm thinking of dates actually, like a date shake. Kind of like some darker. I guess maybe like prunes are kind of similar too, but yeah, there's definitely some darker. Oh, whoa, that's weird. I just did some reading. I swear, unless I subconsciously saw this when I was talking, it says on the palate. I wasn't reading it because I was reading the nosing notes. And the palate note says dates, figs, and prunes and raisins. That's crazy. I did not read that far down, but then I was like looking to lost my place. I'm like, wait, did I just see the word dates? So okay, maybe you know what? Maybe I should be an official taster for the SMWS because on the nose. I mean, again, a date shake is something that I get on the way to Vegas. It's a very popular like I don't know if you would call it. Is it a California thing or is it just like a southern Southwest U.S. thing? Because I know there's like a ton of places near Las Vegas that sell it. Like it's like known out there. I didn't have one until a couple years ago for the first time, but it's a very unique, distinct flavor, which is probably why I'm picking up on it here. All right, I'll stop reading anything. I was gonna try to see some more info about it, but I don't want to be subliminally told what to smell or taste. So, delicious nose. Can't wait to give it a taste. Someone said, sorry, experimenting and transitioning. What are we talking about? I don't know. Does it specify the barrel size? This one does not actually. Oh no, sorry, it does. It says an Oloroso hogshead. Sorry. Um, to me, like I don't know the differences that much, so like to me, it doesn't like make me think like, oh, that's gonna impart that much flavor. I should learn that though, because I do know like hogsheads. I think are those the taller ones, like that are more like oval shaped, or are those just like the big ones? I forget. Educate me, please, while I take a sip. Cheers. Palm Springs. You're right. Maybe I haven't gotten all the way to Vegas. Maybe I've gotten it all the way to Palm Springs. I always get those confused because I do a road trip to both occasionally. So you're right. I think it is a Palm Springs thing. All right. Cheers. Man, I wonder if the person that people that like went for this flavor profile were from that Palm Springs area because it is that really strong date sweet kind of and like if you don't know like what a date or like a prune I don't have as much experience with because like I don't eat prunes very often or drink prune juice, but I do know a date. It's similar to a raisin. To me, it has a little bit more of a juicier profile to it, a little bit brighter flavor, not quite like a red fruit flavor, but it's kind of a little closer to a red fruit than like a grape, is what I would say. Coachella Valley as well. Day Shake's very Cali. Okay. Yeah, Coachella. Yeah. I see in the chat. So this is very dominant of that on the nose, like or on the palate too. I mean, overwhelmingly, this is a strong wine cask influence on this Scotch. I'm gonna go in for a second sip. I'm trying to see what I can find from the actual like grain in here because I'm so overwhelmed by that incredibly delicious Oloroso cask. I'm gonna have to see. Let's see what the grain is. Like I said, 10-year-old whiskey. Man, that is tip of the tongue with all that sweet flavor. Mid palate, you get a little grain, but it's so. I don't want to say it's like overwritten or overwhelmed by these fruity notes, but I mean, if you look at the category here, deep, rich, and dried fruits, that is absolutely what's going on here. This is not here to let you see, where this distillery itself shines. It's letting you see the cask, that cask aging where it's shining, and it's a delicious pour. Love that. I love a high proof sherry cask. I even like them. I even more so. I like a high proof peated sherry. We're not there yet, but we might get there tonight. But that is delicious. I'm a big fan of that. I've got a freaking super chat from Tony Bag of Donuts. 25 Tony. Wow, thank you so much, my friend. Just wanted to send you some money. I was just watching a stream with the giveaway where it's impossible to get comments read without super chats. Cheers. Oh, well, yeah, well, I don't want to say I wish I was that, but I wish I had enough viewers to have to worry about that. But no, I try to read everyone's comments. So if I miss your comment, just say it again. Don't say it too many times, or the spam bots will get you. But cheers, Tony. Thank you. That means so much. Appreciate you, my friend. Tony's another one of our Bike Club members here. So Tony, I hope to see you on the hangout later tonight. All right. Well, I do want to move on, but that is so good. I could sit on that all night. Don't clip that. Sit with that all night is what I intended to say with that. All right. Well, now that I've got kind of started the trend of the pictures, I'm gonna try. Maybe it'll be easier this time because it's the same size. Let me see if I can do a little switcheroo here. Just see what happens. Let's see if this works. It may not work, but we're gonna try it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. I'm freaking professional, guys. Brandon's in the chat. What's up, Brandon? I was just mentioning you earlier about you and Patrick hanging out. Wish I could see you guys. I don't have plans, though, is what I was telling him. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make a little journey. There are too many colors for me to remember. I feel you there. All right, so this one definitely color-wise is a bit lighter, but we're gonna talk about this one. This one is called, if you can't see, Bacon on a Bonfire, which that name is a little scary because this category is oily and coastal. So I was like, wait a minute, is this like a super peaty one? But based on the description I read, it didn't sound super peaty. So we're gonna move everything after this. I think is gonna be peated, but this was the one that I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be peated or not. So I put it in second place. But I wanted to definitely put it after that sherry bomb up front. So yeah, this one, Bacon on a Bonfire. This is cask number 93.140. It is a 17-year-old Campbelltown in a second fill barrel. So I'm thinking second fill, probably bourbon cask. Traditionally, Campbelltowns have not always, realized graphics on the screen. Traditionally, Campbelltowns haven't always been my favorite. I'm just not a big fan of Springbank, which I know is like just one distillery, but I've just found myself not loving Campbelltown. So that doesn't mean that I can't like a Campbelltown. Just one of the ones I've tried, I've not loved. So let's see. Cask number 93. Let's see where this is sourced from. Watch it be Springbank. It could change my mind on Springbank. Let's see. Glen Scotia. Okay. Glen Scotia. I've definitely had something from there. I know a lot of guys in my local whiskey group are big Campbelltown fans, and I know that that is hard to say. Big Campbelltown fans. There we go. Campbelltown Clowns. That's a good name if you're a band from there. Claren or Glen Scotia. Yep. It's Kilkerran. Sorry. Yeah. But I've definitely had Glen Scotia before. But yeah, okay. So no cask finish. I've noticed that the ones that I have liked from Campbelltown typically are a wine cask finish, but this one isn't. So we'll see. 17 years old though. Holy moly, that is old. Yeah, I love the name though. Bacon on a Bonfire. I don't want to read the tasting notes here, but I will read that it was released at $170. And it was selected by American members of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society at the Tasting Panel Experience back in 2019. So one of the last pre-COVID kind of picks. It's pretty crazy. All right. Zover says he loves Glen Scotia Victoriana. Interesting. I'll have to look into that. All right, let's go to notes. I will say, by the way, before I start doing that, it's going to be hard to see because the focus is focusing on me. Anyways, the legs on this are really incredible. Even before I did like this little swisheroo, they were climbing. So what is the ABV on this? I'm going to guess it's probably pretty up there too. 55.9. So what is that? Oh God, I can't do math really fast. 111.8, I think. So not quite as high proof as the other one, but older. Allocation of only 198 bottles of this. So thank you again, Don. Let's nose it. Ooh, that is smoky, but like, yeah, that's smoky. I was going to say not super smoky, but let's be real. That's smoky. A bit different of like an Isla smoke, though, I will say. This one almost has a bit of a briny coastal kind of note to it because it reminds me of what I love about things like, what was the one I was drinking? I'm going to look back here. I'm going to hide myself. Old Pulteney. When I did a stream recently, I was doing a bunch of like whiskeys that I said had a lot of like briny coastal note to it. And some of those were peated scotches. So this kind of reminds me on the nose of what I liked about those. A little bit of like a funky kind of like, I don't want to say an ocean stank because that doesn't sound good, but like a bit of like a funkiness that can only come from a bit of like a marsh maybe. Maybe it's more marsh than ocean. In South Carolina, I grew up at a place that had like a channel, and then it had marshland, and then strip of land, and then the beach. So all the smells. This is kind of reminding me of that, and I love that. I love a whiskey that takes me back to a place. So on the nose, this one definitely takes me back, right back to South Carolina. Tony said he just got to try Glen Scotia 15 and 25 thanks to a generous man named Fred. Oh, awesome. Where is Fred? We miss him here. Matthew said, I wish I could find an affordable Glen Scotia 17 replacement. I missed my last bottle. Yeah, this one's unfortunately sold out on their website. Won't you take me to Campbelltown? Something, something. All the clowns. Okay, I'll stop. I'm not a singer. Okay. I do love the nose on this. Honestly, it's surprisingly, I don't want to say approachable for a smoky whiskey because there's a lot of smoke, but that coastal element to it, and there's almost a bit of a, I don't want to say, there's a fruitiness there, but I can't quite place it whether it's like a pear. It's a brighter orchard fruit though. I'm not good at picking those out on the nose, and I don't want to accidentally read the cheat sheet over here, so I'm going to go to a taste first. Cheers. There's a bit of that Campbelltown funk that I think, I don't know how to describe it, but it's what I've gotten on other Campbelltowns that like isn't my favorite. It's because it kind of teeters between sweet and savory, and like it goes back and forth like really quick. Like I feel like sometimes I'm thinking I'm tasting sweet, and then all of a sudden it goes savory, but then back sweet, but then savory, then back sweet. So it kind of confuses me. It almost is. It's sulfurous, but not quite in the way that you would typically get a sulfur, because sulfur can be a really good note on a whiskey. I got sulfur on one of the ones last week, but this one's almost a little bit more of like a funky, like mossy sulfur. Like the forest floor, but like there's a lot of not dead animals or anything, but like dead leaves and stuff on it, a little bit of moss. Yeah, this was taking me on a journey that I don't know if I fully am ready for. Maybe I'm just not that experienced as a Scotch drinker. I mostly drink American whiskey, but I do appreciate a hell of a lot of Scotch. Go for a second sip. Yeah, it's still got that funky note that I just can't get over. It's not the same as the funky ocean funk that I mentioned on the nose. This one is more of like I said, mossy, kind of grassy kind of thing. I don't know. I've just never really been a Campbelltown fan. And I don't think, that I necessarily need to be. But I think that's, it's unfortunate because a lot of my friends are such huge Campbelltown fans. So I hate to let them down by not loving this one. But it's good. I mean, you can tell that's a quality whiskey. You can tell there's age on it. I mean, it's not because of oak necessarily, but the way that the malt is expressing itself. I've only experienced it that way on whiskeys that are like this old, like 15 to 20 years old. There's like a certain, I don't know if I want to say mellowness to it, but it's like a certain, oh my goodness, another super chat. Taste and sensibility, Doug, with a $30 super chat. Oh my gosh, you're going to need more funds if you have a Scotch Malt Whisky Society membership now. Oh my gosh, okay, well, I guess, yeah, you guys are funding my next bottle of it for sure. Wow, thank you guys so much. And thank you again, Don, for the membership. I appreciate it all. It seriously, it does support the channel. And I always love when, I feel like you guys are getting something out of the channel and enjoying the show. So seeing the super chats does mean a lot. And also seeing your memberships over on the Bourbon Bites Byte Club. So cheers to you. Cheers to you both, Tony and Doug. Really great. Appreciate you. All right, we're going to move on. Again, that one wasn't my favorite, but I think it's a high quality whiskey. It's just not my flavor profile that I typically go for. I don't have to like every Scotch, guys, okay? All right, we're going to move on to 10.211. And this one is the one that's not a special US exclusive. This one actually was just a regular release. It's just heavily peated, so I wanted to make sure to not include it in that first flight from last week because nothing was peated, so I didn't want to like blow my own palate. So let me swap out that graphic here. Boop, 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 boop. Bam, there we go. Okay, this one's called War and Peat. This one is a seven-year-old heavily peated Isla, second fill Oloroso hogshead. So back with another Oloroso cask. Let's see right here. There's just a note that says, like, this was part of when the panel was selecting this one, it says, oof, said the panel collectively via Zoom. So that makes me think this probably came out in 27 years old. Yeah, distilled in October of 2013, age 7 years. This is a 2020. This is a COVID bottle. But I love that. Oh wait, sorry, I forgot to look at the tasting notes of that last one just to see if I was right. Let's see what they say. So going back to the 93.140, the bacon on Bonfire. What do they say? Vibrant maritime influence. I did say a coastal note. Rock salt, iodine, sea spray, charred shellfish, and charcoal embers. Interesting. Earthy qualities, as well as dried seaweed. Roasted escargot. I did say kind of like a moss. I feel like escargot is a little mushroomy, a little mossy. Okay. Damp cellar earth and silk mechanical oils. Damp cellar earth. What does that mean? Is that kind of like when I said like the forest floor? Damp cellar earth and like dead forest floor. Are those the same note? I don't know. But then it says excellent whiskey. Yeah. Lime, distinct barbecue. Yeah, that sounds delicious. Unfortunately, it's just not my favorite flavor profile. Chris Tats, all the way from Australia here, who just got back from Scotland and Ireland. He said, we went to the SMWS bar in Glasgow and had a few really nice pour. Missed going to the main site in Edinburgh, though. Interesting. Okay. All right. That's awesome, Chris. Matthew said, maybe this one is too peated because no one could smell or taste anything at that time. Well, this one, I will say peat can definitely open up the senses. When I had COVID, so the first time I had COVID, I didn't lose my sense of smell and taste. I actually was very fortunate. But the second time I got it, it was a weirdly mild case of COVID. But the first thing I lost was sense of smell and taste. So the only things that I could actually enjoy were wheated bourbons, like Maker's Mark, like a wheat mash bill. Those are the only ones that tasted good. Anything with rye in it, I just cannot stand. But I also really liked peated whiskey. I couldn't taste the peat, but I could feel the burn of like the smokiness. So those two things got me through COVID in limited quantities. I tried not to drink while I got better, but like once I was fully feeling recovered, but still lost my sense of smell, those two were the ones that kind of got me to bring it back. So, talk about machine oils. It did, like I said, it did say machine oils in that one. I've never really gotten that, but you know, everyone has their tasting notes, their own experiences. All right. So like I said, moving on to 10.211, the one we have on the screen here. This is War and Peat. It is a 7-year-old, heavily peated Isla. Now let's see where it's from. Cask number 10.211. Using our cheat sheet, this is going to come to us straight from Bunnahabhain. I love Bunnahabhain. I'm a Bunna fan. I like a lot of what they put out. That's exciting. I love Port Charlotte is like one of my favorites. Am I crazy? Port Charlotte's from Bunnahabhain, right? Don't tell me I'm wrong. I know they have the non. Is it from Port Charlotte? Now I'm like confused. Oh, okay. Maybe they're not. Bruichladdich is Port Charlotte. My bad. I was getting confused, but Bunnahabhain I also really enjoy. I do have a Bunnahabhain. It's behind the Kilchoman. I think I have like a 14-year cast strength of it. I get Bunnahabhain and well, now I already forgot the other one. I get Bunnahabhain and Bruichladdich confused. They're spelled very similar. I'm sorry. But I do also really like Bunnahabhain. I'm just more of a Bruichladdich fan, if I had to be honest. So not as excited as I was, but I'm still really excited. Port Charlotte's Bruichladdich. Yeah, my bad. Peated Bunna, yes. So I'm assuming it says heavily peated. Oh, Chris said he sent me some photos of the ones he tried. Well, let's see what we got here. Just gotta find Facebook Messenger because I don't use it. I assume that's what you said when you said Messenger. Here we go. Oh wow, you sent a lot of photos. Wow, those are cool. Look at this selection here, guys. If it'll focus. Look at that. That's amazing. Wow, Chris. So how would you even know what to pick? Hopefully you had like a little cheat sheet next to you. There's another one. If I'll focus. Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. Man, I bet that was a good time. Yeah, it looks like you had the flamenco fruitcake, the embrace balmy summer, medication time. Nice. Looks like a lot of fun. All right. Let's go to this peated Bunna. Let's see what we have here about info. War and Peat. All right. Well, I don't want to read any tasting notes or nosy notes yet. Let's go for a nose of this one. War and Peat. Oh, lovely nose. I mean, it says second fill Oloroso. I'm not getting much sherry influence at all on the nose. That is like, it's almost to the point where I feel like it's not even like a peat smoke, and it's more of just like an ashy kind of smoke, like a little bit of like you put out a campfire and like you've kind of like smoldered the ashes a little bit. It's got a dry characteristic too. Not quite as coastal as I think the last one was, but there's still a tiny bit of like what they called it, a maritime note. Oh, I'll start saying maritime. I say coastal note, but maritime note maybe. But then the last one said like cooked seafood. I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge fan of cooked seafood. I'm a seafood aficionado, but I don't think I've ever gotten a cooked seafood note on a whiskey. But I'm not saying I'm not open to finding one. Yeah, this was just more of like a little bit ashy, a little bit of like dry oak note. Nothing too crazy on the nose, I will say that. But I have a feeling this one's going to pack a punch on the palate. So let's give this cask, this War and Peat, a try. Cheers. Oh, very different on the palate. You know how I was getting fruity on the nose? I was thinking like, oh, this is like just straight up ashy. The palate's very different. And sometimes I love it when the palate of whiskey is very different than the smell, because it's like it takes you on a journey, right? This still has the smokiness, and it finishes with that same ashiness that I was getting on the nose. But when it first touched my tongue, I'm like, oh no, there's some fruit there. Brighter fruit. Red fruits, I think. I'm thinking more of like a... Okay, I don't think that's a thing, but like if there was a charred strawberry, if you like had a charred strawberry, that's kind of the first thing that comes to taste. Let me go for another taste now that I am expecting that. By the way, it's 59.9% ABV, so almost 120 proof. And you can tell, because that hits. Fantastic. It makes me giggle because I was like ready to dismiss it based just on the nose. But that palate is bustling. It's bussin' and bristling's not even a word. It is bursting with flavor. It's also bussin', as the kids say. Do they say that anymore? They don't say that anymore, do they? All right. Anyways, okay. Tasting notes, still a little ashy on the end. I will say it's very consistent with that finish. It's a long finish. I mean, you would expect it kind of with that higher proof, but that smoky kind of ashy thing kind of sticks around and goes down very slowly on the back end. But when it touches the tip of your tongue, it's bright, it's fruity, it's like not like sweet. It's not like a sweet strawberry, but it's just kind of like a little bit of like a bitter, dry kind of. I don't know how to. That's such an. It's not a note that I describe often enough to be able to describe well enough. So let me reference their tasting notes. Let me see if I can find one that I align closely with. Let me get caught up on the chat real quick. Doug poured a 19-year-old Macduff at 53%. 53%. Awesome. Matthew says, looking at that picture, I can only think I don't have enough money. Well, not enough money to try everything, but I'm sure. I mean, the pours themselves aren't even that pricey. So I think the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, or SMWS, is like relatively. I don't want to say relatively affordable. The SMWS is fair pricing. I think everything seems to be a fair price for what it is, and really cool exclusive club, but not so exclusive that you can't get in, if that makes sense. Sorry. Chris said all you do is tell the bartender what you're looking for and profile wise, and they give you bottles. Nice. Tony says stay tuned to the after party for a special heavily peated Buna. Awesome. Well, Tony, I'm looking forward to seeing that. Whiskey Uncensored, Ben is here. How do I get on the SMWS Cliffy bus? Well, the Cliffy bus is open to whiskey lovers of all. I was going to say all, because I was going with the school bus thing, but I was going to say all ages, and that still seems wrong. Whiskey lovers of all backgrounds. That's what I'll say. So there will definitely be some SMWS if the Cliffy bus ever hits the road. Don said, I'm waiting to see if any of these elicit an I think that first one was the closest to it. One of those. So if y'all missed last week, I mentioned that like sometimes I'll have a gut reaction, like just go like subconsciously. I don't think I'm even doing it on purpose, but I'll go like that triggers something in me that like I do it with food too. when I try something really good food wise, like I'll go. So we'll see. Not quite there yet, but let me read the tasting notes they gave us on this one. They say bonfire of charred nutmeg, rice pudding doused in petrol, okay, and singed cloth, mussels pickled in brine, salt and vinegar chips. Okay, that's the first one that's resonated with me. There's a little bit of that brininess, like from like a vinegar. I wouldn't know what gasoline tastes like. The salt and vinegar chip. Listen, I'm a snacker. I see that. I see the salt and vinegar chip. It even kind of lingers in the back of the what do you call the back part of your mouth? Like, I guess where your tonsils would be, right? Kind of lingers in like the back of your cheeks a bit. What else did they got? Pickled onion, lobster bisque with paprika, hot water, baking soda spooned into a rubber hot water bottle full of kerosene. Jesus, these descriptions, I mean, maybe works for somebody. Water brought vinegar doused Gravenlax, a dirty martini full of olive gunge served in a fishing welly, aniseed distillate, smoked chipotle chili, and industrial antiseptic. Imagine if I came on this channel and just gave you those tasting notes all the time. It's like, oh, it tastes like a wet, soggy barnacle and covered in gasoline and doused with habanero salsa and a twinge of lime seed oil. Could you imagine? Imagine? I can't even say it right. No. Someone was feeling very, very inspired to write that description. I will say, I get the vinegar. I get the dirty martini. There's a little bit of that like kind of vermouth thing to it. Gelatinous in texture, like peated bacon lards, liquefying on your tongue. Pure buckets of tar and anchovy paste rubbed into sheep wool and topped with petroleum jelly. You know who I want to hear read this? I want to hear Donald Rance read this. I feel like this just sounds like something Donald Rance would read. Like I would pay him to do an audiobook recording of the tasting notes of this whiskey. Donald, if you're on, you'll see. Yeah, that was pretty crazy. Onto Glenmorangie Nectar Dior. Nice. I remember something about making fun of the tasting notes from Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Yeah, that one's pretty good. The rest of them pretty tame. That one is out there. So I'll let you think what you want with that one. I like it. It's it's relatively young, 7 years old for a peated whiskeys, not the oldest. Pricing on this one was $125, so fair pricing, but it's more my jam than the last one, but still not my favorite. M says tastes like fish and kerosene, basically. Alfonso says, I'm guessing the tasting notes were done several whiskeys in a long flight. That's also a very fair statement. All right, we got 2 more whiskeys to get through tonight. Thank you all, by the way, for making it this far into live stream. If you're not yet subscribed, hit subscribe. I'm here every Thursday night, or almost every Thursday night. There's a couple Thursdays at the end of the month that I'm not going to be available because I have some work events coming up. But I will be live next week, and I think the week after. What's the week after? I'll definitely be live. Oh, yeah. I'll be live next week, but I will not be live the 23rd or the 30th. I have 2 different work events that I'm going to go to, so I'm not going to be able to make those. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to be live that week. I might do a weekend stream, one or both of those, just to kind of make up for it. And then, of course, Brandy from Brandon doesn't have a channel. Brandon's going to be here, I think, one of the first couple weeks in November. I think we decided, Brandon. We haven't. I think we have a date in mind, but I don't recall what it was. So we're gonna do a special Jack Daniel's stream where we're tasting through a blind flight of Jack Daniel's 10, 12, 14, maybe a single cask rye. We haven't quite figured out the details yet, but I'm really looking forward to doing a Jack Daniel's stream with Brandon. So stay tuned, subscribe, make sure you're here for that. But we got 2 more whiskeys here tonight. The first of which. It's got a lot of awards. Let me pull it up here. So you have the graphic. Boop, 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 boop. All right. Also another heavily peated one. This one is called Smoky Maritime Hit. We're still in the Maritime category, which I love. I'm a big fan of. This was a finalist in the Ultimate Spirits Challenge of 2021. It won a 98 points. And it got an extraordinary ultimate recommendation. Also a USA exclusive. So this one, like I said, Distillery 10 small batch release, Smoky Maritime Hit. So it's Distillery 10. If I'm assuming that means the same thing, this is the same distillery, Bunnahabhain, that did the last one, if I'm interpreting that correctly. Same age, But this one is a second fill PX and recharred hogshead cask. So there's like a bit of a double cask influence that could be happening here. This was in celebration of the Islay Whiskey Festival in 2021. And yeah, like I said, it got 98 points and also the Chairman's Trophy finalist. This one's a 7-year-old, also distilled October 2013. So, okay, also a COVID bottle. ABV is 59.6% ABV, so that is 19.2 proof. Wow, I'm getting better at this like math thing. This one allocation actually was 932 bottles. So this one was pretty readily available compared to the last one. Zophar said he was thinking of Donald Rance as well. Okay, Yoda would angry read that. Absolutely, he would. But it would be the best time ever. Brandon said we're still streaming on the 25th. Is that October? Did you decide? Was October 25th the date we picked? If so, then yes, I'm available. Is that what we decided? Sorry, Brandon. For some reason, I think we pushed it to November. But if not, that's cool. No, I can do that. I'm opening up your text now. You're right, October 25th. My bad. I thought you changed it for some reason. Yeah, no, I can do the 25th. I'm thinking, you know what happened? I had a work happy hour that was on like October 23rd, and they're like, "Can we push it to the end of November?" I'm like, "What's the point? We keep pushing this out. Let's just have it." So that's actually what I was thinking of. So sorry about that. Yes, the 25th of October. So it'll be like a Jack. What I want to play a pun on like Jack O'Lantern because it's Jack Daniels. Jack. I'm gonna call it a Jack off because that might be a little much. But I'll come up with something clever and Halloweeny for that. I think the Shelf Turds or the whiskeychannel.com had the best jack off of all YouTube. Whiskey Tube. All right. So let's go ahead and nose this one. Like I said, it's the same distillery, just different cask that this was aged in. I'm really excited to see what this does. Color wise, there's definitely more color on this one. Like I said, it is second fill PX sherry casks, recharred hogsheads. Nice. Let's give it a nose. Okay. There was a the nose. Don't know if that counts though. I know we're waiting for my The nose isn't necessarily something that I feel like I can qualify that for because I feel like I say that a lot on the nose. I'm like but like when I taste something, that's where it really counts. But yes, this smells delicious. Wow, wonderful. I'm just gonna go back to this one real quick just to see. They're very different. That one was, like I said, like a more of an ashy smoke. This is big and bold. And there's some complexity. There's some meatiness to this. This is like a barbecue. Definitely more of a barbecue nose. Smoky. It's not quite as like that funky kind of ocean note that like the Campbelltown one was giving me. It's more of just like a salty air, like a salty, briny air. This would have qualified at least on the nose for my saltiest whiskeys in the world live stream that I did about a month or so ago. If you missed the replay of that, youtube.com/bourbonbites. Oh, you're already here because this is the YouTube channel. Sorry, I was just mentioning a past live stream on my podcast today, and I was like, oh, you're on the podcast. You may not even know I have a YouTube channel. Well, you're on the YouTube channel. So if you don't know I have a YouTube channel, maybe do a cognitive test where you score the best score possible. I don't know. Yeah, smells delicious. I'm going to go for a taste. Love everything about this nose. Cheers. Okay. Doesn't nearly drink as hot as you would think. I thought it was going to be hotter, to be honest. Yeah, I mean, there's a new feature that popped up. It said, schedule a members only live stream. Schedule your live stream to switch to members only. No, I'm not gonna. Why would I do that? I guess I could see if you didn't have like a bite club like I do to maybe do something like an after party there, but why would I do that? Sorry, I'm playing with the new buttons. By the way, there's a new reaction button that I mentioned earlier, so I'm gonna hit the heart button because I love all of you in the chat. So those hearts coming through, those are for me. Let's see. That was a really good. I got so distracted. Did I? I don't know if I did. I feel like I got so distracted that I may have mm'd. I was about to do it, and I feel like I caught myself. Yeah, this is a This is that briny, peaty, little bit fruity. There's a little bit of that PX cask there. Not super strong, not nearly as strong as the Oloroso cask on the first one, but there's a little hint of that cask, and it's sweet. It's like a sweet, salty kind of like if you get sweet and salty, not quite salted caramel because it's a brighter sweetness. Like a salty. I mean, maybe like a salty piece of licorice. I mean, I would know, right? Because I did that live stream. But it's a brighter saltiness. Like if you had a salted. If I stick with the strawberry, a salted strawberry. Ew, that sounds weird. I like salt on my watermelon. Wait, hold on. Salted watermelon. I might be onto something here. Wait. It's subtle because there's so much smoke. There's so much like rich notes. But there's a bit of a salty watermelon note. Now, I'm going to go crazy if I look over at these tasting notes and I see someone said salty watermelon. I haven't read them at all yet, so I don't want to spoil it, but like I'm getting a little bit of a salty, sweet kind of thing like a watermelon. So, I love watermelon. I love salted watermelon. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the summer. So, let's go over. Let's read what it had here. Smoky Maritime hit. So they're saying sweet smoked raisin, beach smoked prunes, smoked orange marmalade, and char-grilled lobster. I love lobster. How are you getting lobster on that? But okay. Massive sweet smoke. I did get that. We were going up in smoke. Soy roast holed up with tangerine hoisin sauce. Salty, briny, and ashy, but at the same time is like biting into a toffee apple. Crunchy, crackly caramel surrounding a juicy, ripe apple. I almost feel like that's kind of what I was getting. Like I was like salted, not quite salted caramel, but like a salted sweet. Maybe like I've never had a salted apple, but I feel like it could be a thing. With water, we doused a beach barbecue with seawater, opened a heather ale, and had smoky candy floss, or cotton candy, before we ate a Reuben sandwich with homemade smoky Russian dressing and spiced rum-soaked Jamaican ginger cake. That's not that far. Like sweet small. Ooh, okay. I'm reading Emily's. It says sweet salted smoked almonds. That sounds really nice. Tony, I see what you do that. Would half of an be an I feel like I wouldn't go unless I'm like that's like a different noise. Like I'm gonna sound like fucking is it Cardi B? That I don't know. Anyways, you can tell I'm white, guys. I'm very, very white. Anyways, delicious. Love this. Probably my favorite of the night so far. I'll have to go back to that first one though. But I love all the flavor journey this took me on. Delicious. Retail on that one was $140. I would have paid that. If it was still available, I would buy one right now. So, yeah, it's that good. It's really, really good. All right, we got 8 minutes left. We got one more whiskey to get to. Let's go ahead and pull up that graphic once I get the graphic downloaded. This one has a fun name. This one I had to, like, do a double take. So I'm like, what did that say? It's kind of funny because all these are kind of in a similar kind of category in terms of, like, their descriptions. All right, this last one. So it's called Clambake on a Beach. So we've been in Maritime. We've been with seafood for a while. We're still in this territory. Now, this was actually chosen by U.S. members of their... Trying to find a way to make that a little easier to read. U.S. members of their tasting panel experience. Also a USA exclusive. This is a 16... Well, okay, weird. Hold on. Okay, I know what happened here. Their website, their listing for it is wrong, because the listing says it's called a moment of Alinity, and it says it's 16 years old. However, if I scroll down, I see it labeled as Clambake on the Beach. So SMWS USA, if you see this live stream, check out your listing for this one because the website's wrong. All right, I found the actual facts for the Clambake on the Beach though. This one was selected by American members of the Tasting Panel Experience in 2020, which aligns with that info there. Just double checking now that their website's like wrong. Cask is a refill hogshead. It is 10 years old, distilled back in September of 2010. So again, 2020-21 release. 58.7% ABV. So up there, like let me see if I can do the math. 117.4. Did I do that right? And 273 bottles. So much less bottles than the last one. Now, we do know this is cask number 53.375. Let me just check the graphic to make sure that's accurate and so I'm not like reading the wrong thing. Does that say 53.375? There we go. So this graphic is correct. 10-year. Let's just look at the graphic. 58.7. Okay, that all aligns. All right. So we got the info that, ooh, whoa, come back. There we go. All right. Let's see what this, so cask number 53. Let's see. Let's do some cheat sheet. Let's see what 53 Distillery is. Kalila. Okay, we got a 10-year-old Kalila here at cask strength. That's exciting. I do like Kalila. Actually, I didn't used to say I liked Kalila until I had more Kalila. And the more Kalila I drank, the more I realized I really like Kalila. So it grew on me. It's one of the ones that I think the first time I ever had it, I just think I wasn't ready for it. And I think now that I appreciate their flavor profile so well, I'm a big fan of it. Color-wise, this is super light. I'm about to show you guys how light this is. Let me just pull up the info here. Refill hogshead. Yeah, this is a not much of a cask influence on that. Look at that. That is white wine right there. That is like straight up freaking Chardonnay or something. Definitely probably not going to taste like it though. Sorry, I'm just getting caught up in the chat. Oh, Matthew's doing some tasting notes. Nice. On Glenmorangie G14. Nice. Doug says, Cliffy will appear in the after party. I think so. Cliffy's having a great time. Cliffy warming up the bus. Lump of coal, Ela. I like it. Kalila is a fave of Emily's. Yes, me too. All right, let's give this a nose. Oh, interesting. Okay, bright on the nose. Almost. I know I was joking about white wine earlier, but I'm like, you know what it is? There's a tartness to it. There's a bit of a tartness that I kind of get from like some whiter wines. That's why I don't like white wine. I like red wine. But there's a bit of like a tart. It's not orange. Could it be lemon? Maybe a bit of a lemon? But like not like lemon, like if it was lemon, it's not like a fresh lemon. It's like a little bit of like a wrinkly lemon that you end up using in your lemonade because I don't know why you use a wrinkly lemon in your lemonade, but it's not a fresh lemon note at all. It's almost maybe even more of like a concentrated lemon, but it's not like it's candy-like at all either. It's not sweet. It's got a like interesting tartness to it. A little bit like a, don't want to say like pine sol, but it's a little bit of pine sol-y there. There's a bit of a savoriness happening too. So even though it has that bright fruitiness on the nose, there's a savoriness there that I think is gonna be that peat. But on the nose, I wouldn't immediately say that this is a peated whiskey. Totally said like a Sauvignon Blanc. Sauterne. Oh, interesting. Sauterne, yeah. It is color-wise, it looks like one. But it doesn't smell sweet at all. That's the only thing that's making me not think like a sweeter white wine. All right, let's go for a taste. Confused by the nose, not put off, but confused. Let's give it a taste. Wow, okay, yeah. Oh, it's still got that, Okay, there's some... There's something there that is that same tart kind of thing. I don't want to say this because I think it could just be from my own personal experience, but the grain is kind of expressing itself a bit sour here, almost like a bit of like a, I don't want to say bile because like bile is such a bad note, but it got exciting and then it went to like a bile that kind of threw me off a little bit. It kind of made me a little sad. Let me try it again. I loved it at first, then I didn't love it. Let me reset. Take two. Great up front. It's the mid palate that I don't like. It's like you know what it is? It's an overripe apple. Like I've been to an apple orchard before and there's like rotten apples on the ground. It's a bit of that like rotten apple kind of note, but it's not sweet. It's got a bit of like a, I hate to say bile note, but it has a bit of a bile note that unfortunately is not my jam. And I don't always get that on Kalila. And I'm wondering if it's something to do with those casks that they're using because it just says refill hogshead. We don't know what was in it. I like the proof. I like how tame the peat is. The peat, everything about this whiskey works really well. There's just a mid palate note that's just not one of mine. Don said baby vomit. I've never tasted baby vomit. I've never had a baby but it does kind of remind me of vomit. So yeah, probably baby vomit. But I hate to say that because that sounds so bad. Bile is my nice way of saying baby vomit. uh, was it lemon or bitter? See, it was hard. Oh, Donald Rance, you're in the chat. Donald Rance, there. I need to. I was saying I would pay you to read some of these description of these Scotch Malt Whisky Society tasting notes because I just can just imagine your voice reading them. I gave you a shout out. That's why I said the myth, the legend arrives. Yeah, I did give you a shout out earlier. Same as me using a wrinkly lime in my guacamole. Tony said, I heard a but was it more of like a This was a This was not a Sir Attenborough. Yeah, this one, I'm not going to talk, Brits say baby sick. Some people chase that profile. No, I totally, I get it. I just don't like it. And it's a note that I've gotten a lot of times with Scotch. It's sometimes I'll say cereal grain, but this is like a sour cereal baby sick note. Other than that, though, finish medium to long. It's coating of the mouth. It's a really nice experience. It's just the flavor profile isn't one that hits with me. And that's all I'll say. Like, I'm not saying that it's not good. It just isn't for me. So let me read their description. Now, if I see baby sick in this description, my mind's gonna blow. All right, let me see. It's when they mentioned the color. They said it appears Pinot Grigio. Like, I said it looked like a white wine. It literally does. But no wine by the sea. Instead, a dram packed with sweet, smoky, and coastal seafaring memories. Mild nose, sea breeze, maritime aromas, crystal salt, rock pools, iodine, drawn butter. I mean, that's not totally wrong because the mouth coatingness kind of does remind me of like a way that like a drawn butter does. So I'm not wrong with that. Sweet smoke, kettle corn, salty sea air, sweet popcorn, and gooey fudge. Salty butter, roasted coffee, trail mix, saltiness, smokiness, warmed spice. Yeah, no baby sick. So I wouldn't put it past them to put that in the description because I feel like some people would seek it out. So yeah, that one wasn't my favorite, but I will say there were some standouts here tonight, and I'm gonna name them real quick before we go. Let me pull up my list so I can see what we have here. Let me hold on. Can I do something? Oh no, I can't put them all on the screen. That is not. Hold on, wait. No, I can't put them all on the screen. Okay. So in terms of least favorite, unfortunately, it's this last one. It's just not for me. Second least favorite, I think, was the 93.140, which was the bacon on Bonfire. I think that's just because I'm not a big Campbelltown fan. I just never really have been. But it's not a bad whiskey. It's just not my flavor profile. My third place pour actually has to go to 10.211 Warren Peat. I thought it was interesting. The nose and the palate were very, very different. Palate I preferred. The nose was like kind of meh. Fruity. Good. Peaty. Yes. Yeah, all of that. Second place. Okay, second and first place I have to pick real quick. Because I like both of these very, very much. Let me get a little taste test back and forth. I'm just nodding because I'm like, yeah, these two are so good. These two are really good. Kind of did it. I went, It's usually a deeper, like when I do it subconsciously, it's more of like a guttural, like, which is kind of what I just did, right? I got a favorite. Got to go with my guttural reactions, right? Okay, second place. Second place was 58.145. That was the Rockets Red Glare. That was the 10-year-old Speyside. What was that one? Rockets Red Glare was a Cask 58. That was the that was the Strathisla X Oloroso cask. Delicious. Loved it. It was one of the lower proof of the ones we've had, but it's still up there. Like cask strength, really, really good. But going back to the let me pull that one up. The Distillery 10 small batch release, the Smoky Maritime hit. That's the one that won a 98 points out of 100 in the Ultimate Spirits Challenge. It was a finalist. It won the Chairman's Trophy. It was a finalist for the Chairman's Trophy. Yeah. I'll put that graphic back on the screen. Let me put that one up. For my winner for the night. I think it was this one. Yeah, there we go. This one right here blew me away. Was delicious. I wish I could get a bottle of it. 140 would absolutely pull the trigger on it right now, but it's sold out. So good. Wow. That Peat whiskey's getting to me right now. But like, yeah, that rating, yeah. There's hard to find a fault in this whiskey. Yes, would I like it a little bit older? Sure, right? But everything about this is exceptional. Their tasting notes are very fun to read. Like I said, I said a Reuben sandwich. And this is the one that I was like, I got like I said a salted. I'm pretty proud of myself, right? I said a salted, like I originally said salted caramel, but then I said like it's sweeter than a salted caramel, but then I said salted watermelon, which is the wrong direction. But they said this funny, like in the same sentence they say biting into a toffee apple, crunchy, crackly caramel surrounded by a juicy ripe apple. So like it's like in the same realm. So good. Best thing I've had all night. This journey through all these Scotch Malt Whisky Society releases, both this week and last week, I'll take my graphic off now, have been some of the most eye-opening experiences I've had to the variety in Scotch. I love that we're hopping distilleries, we're hopping regions of Scotland, we're hopping proof, we're hopping casks. Just such a fun exploration, and I can't wait to. Don said they do some tastings around LA. Chris said they have some bars in Glasgow and a few other, I think Edinburgh is like where they're based. I'm quickly falling in love with SMWS. I can't wait to see what bottle. I'll let you guys know what bottle will be the first one I buy. If you are not a Discord member, I encourage you guys. The link to down in the description below, bourbonbites.com, has a link to our Whiskey and Gaming Lounge Discord server. That's where I share everything I'm buying. I have a lounge called I Just Bought, and I always post, like whenever I buy new bottles, I put them up there real quick just to share them and get you guys reactions to them. So if you want to see that, check that out. But what a fantastic experience. And yeah, I can't wait to try more. Matthew Parks, by the way, before we go, he says, unrelated spirit update. Undisclosed bourbon distillery from Nashville Barrel Company was absolute cream over ice. Wow, I think it's the same mash bill as Heaven Hill. Ooh, cream over ice versus ice cream. I'm gonna need you to explain that for me, Matthew. I'm just kidding. All right, guys. Oh, Don in the chat said, glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, Don, appreciate you, man. You are an OG of the channel. Thank you so much for your support, both in the Byte Club and sending me samples and things to try. If you guys ever want to send me things to review, please do. I love doing a flight like this, whether it's a themed one or a blind one. Let me know. I'd love to do it. I always look for content to do on the channel. I want to make these live streams as fun as I can and not as long as this because we're going overtime. All right, we'll wrap it up. Cheers, y'all. Thank you so much for a fun night. Check out today's podcast. Like I said, I review a dough ball, cookie dough flavored whiskey. It's something, all right. It's something. All right, cheers. I'll see you guys next Thursday, and then on the 25th with Brandon should be a good time. All right, cheers, y'all. Bye.